Yeah, I don't have a title slide with my name or anything. Hi, I'm Zeische. I am the Grassroots Coordinator for the Gasland Films and the Solutions Grassroots Tour. How many people here have seen Gasland or Gasland Part 2? Okay, that's really good. So you guys are pretty familiar with fracking, and if you weren't already familiar with it, Karen did an amazing job about explaining so many of the dangers of fracking. So I've been working with Josh Fox, who's the director of the Gasland Films, for the last 2 years as the Grassroots Coordinator. I started with Gasland Part 2. We have done over 50 tour stops, actually going to communities, touring with the film. I've helped set up hundreds of community screenings. And so we've got a pretty good sense of what the kind of landscape is for fracking in this country. But more importantly, the grassroots groups that have kind of developed in the face of this threat, and that are taking on, the most powerful corporations in the history of the world, really. These people have the most money, the most influence that we've ever seen for corporations. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about kind of what the landscape is right now for fossil fuel development and how communities are joining together to fight that. So in this graph, this shows our current energy mix. Right now it's mostly coal. As you can see, natural gas is increasing. And nuclear is also a big part of that, which isn't a safe fuel for us. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that our country is already facing an energy transition. As Karen mentioned, we are transitioning to unconventional fossil fuels. We call it extreme energy extraction. Dr. Sandra Steingraber calls it the 4 horses of the apocalypse, the climate apocalypse. So this is tar sands development, which they want to build a Keystone XL pipeline to transport that oil. This is fracking for oil and gas. This is mountaintop removal for coal. And this is offshore drilling. So we are actually running out of the easy fossil fuels to get to and transitioning to these more extreme fossil fuels. They're more energy intensive, they're more dangerous, and we actually have to build a lot of infrastructure out to get these fossil fuels out of the ground and into our communities. And it's insane. It's absolutely insane that we are doing this. If we have to make a transition anyway, at a time when we know we can't burn these fossil fuels, why are we transitioning to extreme energy? And so when we were touring with Gasland Part 2, it's a pretty action-filled movie. Josh gets arrested, there's a flaming water hose. But what people wanted to talk about more than anything was a 2-minute segment with Professor Mark Jacobs from Stanford about how we can go 100% renewable, how it's possible today with current technologies. So we decided we were going to go back out on the road to these communities that we've developed really personal relationships with to talk about solutions. So that's what the Solutions Grassroots Tour is. We recently toured across New York and Pennsylvania, going back to the same communities that are fighting fossil fuel infrastructure projects. So at our website, solutionsgrassroots.com, we talk about 3 different ways that people can actually start. And so what we've realized is that one of the best tools for actually fighting fossil fuels is to build the alternative, democratic, renewable energy. And one of the things that we've seen is that these communities, and sometimes these were communities that really existed as a community before the fossil fuel industry, but there's a lot that have developed because these communities are under threat. And so we believe that the community approach is going to be the best way that we can actually, get out of the fossil fuel cycle, working together as communities. So we talk about 3 different ways. We call it easy, easy plus, and hardcore change the world. So easy is actually just switching your power. You can do that here in New Jersey, you can do it in Pennsylvania, and you can do it in New York. So right now, if you're just every single month sending your money into the local utilities, they're buying coal, they want to buy more gas, they're increasing these things. So a lot of these people who are actually fighting this are every month sending your money to the people that are trying to destroy your community. So if you go to solutionsgrassroots.com, we recommend a couple companies that we think do this really well, so that every month you are no longer paying the fossil fuel companies. You're actually sending, you're demanding renewable energy. So, this is like the best petition you can ever sign, because it's one saying, I don't want fossil fuels anymore, I want renewables, and it actually builds, it leads to them building more renewable energy. Easy Plus is how you can start generating your own energy at your home. We talk about rooftop solar, we talk about geothermal, and we're expanding a lot to help people realize what opportunities they have. And then hardcore change the world is organize it. Not everybody can install solar. There's a lot of things that we're gonna need to do as communities. And that's the part that I'm really excited about, is ways that as a community we can come together and do this. So for example, in Middletown, New York, they already have a compressor station there. When we toured there was a little girl who spoke about how she's getting nosebleeds now because of the air from this compressor station. And now they want to put in a gas-fired power plant in New York, where we have said we don't want our land fracked, but we can't say like, oh, we're just going to get our gas from Pennsylvania now. So there we're setting up a campaign where everybody who switches to one of our renewable energy suppliers, they will also generate a comment to Governor Cuomo, to the DEC, saying, I am personally switching to renewable energy on my bill because I don't want fossil fuels built in my community. We're talking to the folks who live near the Constitution pipeline about how we can take a page from Bold, Nebraska's book. They built a solar barn in the way of the Keystone XL pipeline, so that if that was ever to be approved, we would have to tear down the energy of the future to transport the energy of the past. So we're talking about how can we do that? How can we build solar barns? How can we have, portable solar barns that you can blockade your senator's office with, your local mayor? When you really start thinking about it, fighting these fossil fuel projects, it's terribly depressing, and it's really difficult to keep going up against this again and again, especially in areas that are already being fracked. But when you start working on the solutions, it really brings a new energy in so many ways. So we're figuring out how we can do this, and our role in that as Solutions Grassroots is we want to help you guys bring the culture. We're encouraging people to host potlucks, because we saw a lot of these groups start, just small people, not small people, they're normal sized people, but small groups of people. Sorry, I'm normally not the speaker at these kind of events. Josh is. I could probably do his speech, a lot better. I've seen it so many times. But so what we're encouraging folks to do is to host potlucks. We have a really great potluck guide that explains some of this, and we have a new short film that actually goes into what ethical electric is. That's when you're switching your power provider, what community solar options are available, what renewable energy options are available for your house. It even has a funny segment of Josh and Mark Ruffalo driving a Tesla, which, is not a accessible solution for most people, but, we need to dream. We need to see what's possible. And what I've really seen doing this for the last 2 years is that at that map, maybe I can go back. I've seen these communities, one, where there's lots of places we're winning. And when we're coming together as communities, churches, things like that, this ability for us to have conversations with our neighbors about really what's possible is what's gonna, move the ball forward. So thank you guys all so much. I'm really happy to share this Earth Day with you, and thank you, Ed and Alicia, for inviting me. And hopefully we can have some questions back.